Welcome to the Slut Next Door podcast, where we dive deep into desire, unravel kinks and fetishes, and explore the deliciously naughty side of self-discovery. I'm Beatrix Vale, an erotic audio creator, and your guide to all things kinky and curious. So let's begin. Welcome back. I'm Beatrix Vale, and today we are going to explore something that has shaped not only my erotic work, but also my daily life. So, meditation and erotic hypnosis share more similarities than most people realize. They use the same neurological doorway, the same quieting of the mind, and that same gentle slide into internal focus. But they lead you into very different kinds of experiences. One brings you into stillness, and the other brings you into sensation. And I use both in my life every single day. I personally meditate every morning before the emails, before the messages, before I get in front of my mic. It is my ritual. I sit, I breathe, and I let my mind settle. It's almost like tuning an instrument before I play it. And when I skip it, my whole day will probably feel louder, more frantic. But when I give myself those moments of quiet, everything aligns. Like, I have to share with you, one morning I had this magical moment. I was meditating and I felt this floating sensation where my body felt weightless, not like dramatically or in some mystical way. It just felt suspended, like my awareness lifted a few inches above where I was sitting in that moment. And that experience taught me something important, that the mind naturally wants to drift when you give it spaciousness. And the same thing happens in erotic hypnosis. It's the same brainwave shift, the same doorway. It just leads somewhere more charged and more intimate. Meditation also changed how I move through my day. Like, I am so much better at calming my nerves now. Like, when things get overwhelming, I can easily drop back into my breath, ground my thoughts, and steady myself without even thinking about it. That skill has made me a better creator, a better hypnotist, and just like a lighter person because when it comes to me as a creator, I am guiding people into a state that I can step into instantly. So today in this episode, I want to take you on a little tour of these two worlds where meditation and erotic hypnosis overlap, where they differ, and why understanding both can make your erotic experiences deeper, safer, and much more powerful. Now, before we begin, I'm going to go into a little segment that I started recently where I talk about things that are making me feel like a goddess. So, with my meditation, there are some times where I just meditate with my own mind, but there are other times where I bring crystals into my meditation. And lately, I've been working with two particular stones that I'm just falling in love with, moonstone and blue lace agate. Look those up if you're interested because they are so beautiful. But I'm using them more intentionally. And I have to say that the energy has been delicious. So moonstone has been giving me this soft, divine, feminine confidence where when I worked with the blue lace agate, It's been helping me keep my voice steady and calm. So it's almost like the universe is giving me the exact tools I need to stay in my goddess energy. Like, that is just fucking beautiful to me and definitely makes me feel like a goddess. There's something so beautiful and magical when I am holding these gorgeous pieces of earth in my hand, especially when I'm meditating, that it just, automatically truly makes me feel like a goddess. Another way I have felt like a goddess recently was during recording. I was recording this one file, and it's very interesting when I record hypnosis sessions or even my non-hypnosis sessions, like my femdom role plays. My mind definitely goes into this flow state where I'm almost not there, if that makes sense. When you get so deep into something, it's almost like you're not there, if that makes any sense. I go into this other world. But anyway, I was recording and I really do get into my files. Like, I really am settling into the skin of the role that I'm giving in that file. And so I'm really into it. And recently, the way my voice settled into this file, like the way I felt my own power move through me, like I actually stopped the file for a moment, stopped recording, and I just thought, like, I really am her. I really am that bitch. And it truly made me feel like a goddess. I mean, there are times where I can hear myself talking, hear myself while I'm recording, and I'm like, yes, bitch. Like, I can feel the erotic authority, if you will. And it's been inside me. It's been so strong lately and definitely making me feel like a goddess. Now, let's get back into the topic of meditation and hypnosis now. But before we really truly go deeper, I want to give you some simple, grounded definitions of both meditation and erotic hypnosis. Because I think a lot of people feel curious about these practices, but the language around them can get confusing or even like mystical. So we're going to really slow down and get very clear with them. So, meditation at its core is the practice of guiding your awareness inward. It is the art of observing your thoughts instead of reacting to them. So you focus on your breath or a mantra or a visualization, and the mind begins to settle. So meditation creates space. It softens mental noise and it brings you home to your own body in a very calm and centered way. So my morning practice is a perfect example I'll use. So when I sit down, I take those first slow breaths and my brain enters this spacious, almost like silvery quiet. And it's not about forcing anything. It's about allowing, because even when I'm taking those deep breaths and I'm really, really grounded, my mind can still kind of travel. It can kind of think, oh, like, don't forget to take the chicken out for dinner, whatever it is. That does happen, but I let it kind of float away. Because it's really about bringing you home to your own body in a calm, centered way. And it's about allowing. And from that allowing comes clarity and then ease. And I think that for some people, meditation can be similar to how I describe it, where someone else might meditate in a totally different way, because we all kind of, function differently. I definitely have an active mind. I'm always thinking. Sometimes I feel like I'm thinking of 5 things at once. And perhaps that's why I love meditation so much, because it allows me to really calm and quiet. So let's talk about erotic hypnosis now. So it uses many of the same internal gateways, but the intention is very different. So erotic hypnosis guides the mind into a softened, focused state. And then it uses sensual language, power, imagination, and suggestion to shape the inner experience. So instead of drifting toward stillness like you do in meditation, erotic hypnosis guides you toward sensation and surrender. And then usually towards arousal, pleasure, or maybe even transformation. And erotic hypnosis can feel meditative because your brain is entering a similar state, that quiet, that inward focus, but the purpose is to awaken desire, to shift your reactions and invite you into deeper erotic exploration, where meditation expands you inward. Erotic hypnosis invites you inward and then stirs something delicious once you're there. So that is what we are going to explore today. How 2 practices that seem so different actually share the same doorway, and why stepping through that doorway with intention can change everything about your erotic experiences. Now, one of the reasons people confuse meditation and erotic hypnosis is because the body feels a lot of the same things during both. Both practices move you into those slower brainwave states. So when you meditate or when you drift into erotic hypnosis, your brain eases out of its busy state and then slides into something different, into that beautiful, dreamy state. And to be more scientific, when you're in that busy state, that's called the beta state, and then it slides into alpha state, and then the dreamy is the theta state. Theta is where your thoughts become softer and your imagination feels more vivid, like the world outside your body fades a little. And this is why meditation can feel so peaceful. And then also why erotic hypnosis can feel so intense. One of the first times I truly understood this overlap was during that floating meditation I mentioned. Truly, during that time, and especially afterwards when I was reflecting, I thought about my boys that do my erotic hypnosis sessions. I thought, I wonder if this is what they feel. But during that moment where my body felt weightless, I remember sitting there, like breathing, feeling my awareness hover just above me. And what struck me afterwards was how familiar it felt, because I had guided listeners into that exact state many times. Like I said, I couldn't help but connect the two. I have had people describe that same weightless drifting feeling after my sessions or after any hypnosis session. And meditation let me feel it from the inside. Now, another similarity between these 2 practices is the nervous system. So, little science talk here, both meditation and erotic hypnosis activate the parasympathetic response, which is the rest and ease response. Your heart slows, your breath gets deeper, your muscles soften, even arousal feels different in this state. It becomes warmer, slower, and more concentrated. It feels like it builds from the inside instead of from stimulation on the surface. And so I notice this in my body every morning. After I meditate, I feel centered and energized at the same time. It really is a very special type of energy, not frantic or rushed, just like steady and alive. And that same steady inner energy is exactly what my listeners feel when they start to drop for my voice. It is what lets them slip into surrender so easily. And there's something beautiful about how both practices reduce that mental chatter. Now, I also hear from people that that mental chatter is one of the most difficult things to overcome. And my tip is always to not fight it, because your thoughts are, and I know this from meditating myself, even when I'm in the deepest meditative state, I will still have, they slow down for sure, but I'll still have little random thoughts pop in. Like I said, like, don't forget to pull the chicken. Or I actually pay attention to these thoughts because, yeah, this is kind of woo woo, but I think maybe this is important. When I'm in that meditative state, maybe this is my subconscious really delivering important things. But anyway, I hear a lot that people really feel worried or nervous that they're doing something wrong because their thoughts really don't stop. I'm going to argue that a lot of times they never do stop. And what I think the best thing to do is to kind of recognize it internally. That's what I do. I hear I hear my own voice inside my head and I say, okay, and I let it go. I let it just float on by. But anyways, both practices do reduce that mental chatter. Meditation will definitely quiet that inner critic, the one that wants to analyze everything. And that is my default state right there personally, analyzing everything. Now, erotic hypnosis quiets it too, but then it layers desire or obedience or fantasy over top of it. So both will bring you into a softer mind, but one invites your erotic nature to rise in that softness. So the shared science behind it is simple. Both meditation and erotic hypnosis bring your brain into slower waves, quiets the mental inner chatter. Both relax your body, both focus the attention inward, both make your imagination more responsive, and both open the mind to new experiences. The difference is the intention. Meditation helps you expand into stillness, where erotic hypnosis helps you expand into sensation. But we'll call it the doorway. The doorway is the same for both. And once you learn that doorway, you can step through it any time you want. And that's just when the beauty happens. Now that we've talked about that shared doorway between meditation and erotic hypnosis, I want to explore the places where the two split apart. And these differences are important because they shape the way the mind responds and reacts and the kind of transformation you can experience. So the first big difference is the intention, like I mentioned. Meditation all about that stillness, awareness, and observation. It invites you to watch your thoughts drift by. You know, I've heard a metaphor, watch those clouds drift by without grabbing onto them. That's kind of like earlier when I gave the suggestion to just let that thought be and let it flow by. The goal is to find that quiet, steady presence inside yourself. Now, erotic hypnosis also invites you inward, but once you are there, it guides you toward a specific emotional or erotic experience. Erotic hypnosis is going to use arousal, fantasy, and power sometimes to shape how your mind responds. So instead of observing your thoughts, you're following suggestion from the hypnotist and you lean into sensation. You're allowing your imagination to come alive in a directed way. And so the next difference between the two is the role of the guide. So in meditation, the guide is usually neutral. If you're listening to a guided meditation, that's how I started my meditation practice. Highly encourage these files, kind of just your guided meditation, because it kind of teaches you how to meditate. You know, they're telling you in a very neutral way what you should be doing, you know, how your body should be feeling. But in those guided meditation files, they're speaking softly, gently, without typically directing your behavior. Their purpose is there to support your internal experience without influencing it. Now, in erotic hypnosis, the guide or the hypnotist is a very active presence. So, like in my files, my listeners are hearing my voice, sure, and they are responding to it, but they're also following commands, surrendering to suggestions that I make, letting me shape their inner world. And that relationship creates intensity. It introduces desire and trust. And I don't know if I've went into this on my podcast, but I have before. That trust means so much to me. Like, it truly means so much to me that people trust me enough to press play, to let me shape their inner world. Because it can be like psychologically vulnerable. I know. Trust me. I'm being very honest here. I don't participate in erotic hypnosis myself because I have control issues. I don't want to be vulnerable like that. So, you know, the fact that people do trust me over and over again just really means a lot to me. But this is where I believe my personal morning practice has continues actually to help me so much, because meditation taught me how to hold a very steady, centered presence. And it taught me how to speak from a calm, grounded place, even when someone is in a very aroused or emotional state with me. Because when I record hypnosis files, I am picturing you. And that sounds funny because I don't know how most people, I have no idea how people look. I never see the other person, but I am imagining this person, and I'm more so imagining how they're feeling in the moment. You know, I'm kind of following the path in my mind. But meditation, my own meditation, strengthens my ability to lead erotic trance without getting overwhelmed by the energy that I'm working with, because it gets intense sometimes, especially in high arousal files. I believe it's one of the reasons that I can continue guiding people safely with confidence, even when the content is powerful. Now, the next difference between meditation and erotic hypnosis is language. So, meditation is going to use very neutral language, obviously. Like guided meditation isn't, all erotically charged, but you're going to hear things like breathe and calm and soften, observe. Now, erotic hypnosis uses evocative language. It will also use those neutral words that I just mentioned, like breathe and soften. Going to use it a lot, especially during the induction. But erotic hypnosis really takes it up another level. You're going to hear words like desire and need and surrender and pleasure, obedience, just imagery that really stirs and shapes emotion rather than neutralizing it. And that difference matters because language is what paints the inner landscape. In meditation, you're creating your own inner landscape. With erotic hypnosis, I'm painting it as the hypnotist. So when I'm guiding someone into erotic hypnosis, yes, I'm helping them relax at first, but more importantly, I am creating a world for their mind to step into. That world where arousal and imagination blend. Now, another difference between these two practices is the sensory target. Meditation focuses on breath, body awareness, and quiet presence, where hypnosis, it can focus on those things, but on top of that, there is a focus on arousal or even fantasy, triggers, emotional responses, and then sometimes, especially when you're in femdom, hypnosis power dynamics. So it's going to activate the erotic body, not just the physical body that you are trying to activate within meditation. And finally, the difference between these two is the outcome. So when you're done with meditation, you're going to leave feeling very calm, centered, refreshed even. Erotic hypnosis is going to hopefully leave you very aroused. Hopefully, even if you're working within a transformation file, you'll feel like transformed or even like truly deeply affected. And it can change the way you respond to desire. It can change the way you experience your body. And it can even change the way you connect with the person guiding you, the hypnotist. So, again, both these practices share that same doorway, but after that doorway, they definitely walk in different directions. So meditation helps you return to yourself, where erotic hypnosis helps you explore the edges of who you can become. And both are super powerful, don't get me wrong. Both are meaningful. When you understand how they differ, you can actually use each one to elevate the other. And this is what makes me very, very excited. But next, I want to talk about why erotic hypnosis works so well, and also why it feels powerful for people who listen to erotic hypnosis. This is where the intention and psychology and desire all intertwine in such a beautiful way. So, the first reason erotic hypnosis works is the presence of arousal. So, think of arousal like jet fuel for your mind, which I love. I love that metaphor. When you are turned on, your focus, typically for most people, becomes razor sharp. Like you are like in that moment, right? Your imagination becomes more vivid. Your body will become more sensitive. And what's interesting is that that same brainwave state that opens during meditation also opens during erotic hypnosis, but the energy that fills that space is completely different. Like, I've never left a meditation session feeling aroused. I mean, that would be strange to me because it's such a peaceful, relaxing moment. But when you're leaving erotic hypnosis, you are leaving that session completely charged, almost warm in a way. And that's why I think some listeners feel like they probably, if they practice both meditation and hypnosis, probably feel like they drop deeper for hypnosis than meditation because that arousal just intensifies the inward pull. And typically, as the crazy humans we are, we just want more and more and more and more. And I always say in my hypnosis files, it gets easier and easier every time. And that's so true because when your brain's able to connect that, oh, when I drop, I feel these heightened levels of arousal, it's just going to do it easier and easier every time. Now, the second reason erotic hypnosis works is because of the cocktail of hormones that activate during arousal. And we've talked about this on other episodes. You've got the dopamine that makes everything feel more important. You've got the oxytocin that creates those bonding and like trust feelings for the person guiding you, the hypnotist. And then you've got adrenaline heightening all your senses. And then the parasympathetic response softening your body and quieting your mind. What a delicious cocktail. I mean, truly. It's a really special combination because it creates a state where you feel safe and also vulnerable, open, and super eager to follow suggestions. Even listeners who struggle with the overthinking or distraction and meditation can find that they drop instantly for erotic hypnosis because that desire starts to like quiet their inner critic faster than, regular breath work ever could. Now, the third reason erotic hypnosis works is the presence of power. Delicious. Power dynamics activate something that I think is very ancient in the brain. So when someone takes control in a very deliberate and sensual way, I think the mind naturally wants to follow. It's trust based. It becomes like surrender that is rooted in choice. And I think that this is definitely something that is true for my particular audience. I think that many of my listeners crave a very safe and structured erotic authority. I think that a lot of my listeners feel comforted when I lead and feel a lot more steadier when they're told what to do. They relax more deeply when they know they're being guided with intention. And then the last reason why I think erotic hypnosis works, one of the most important ones, at least for me personally, is because it gives people permission to explore parts of themselves that they don't always acknowledge for various reasons. So things like desire, shame, vulnerability, and I think also like a certain fantasy. So meditation if you're just doing guided meditation, it lets you watch what rises. Like you're kind of in charge of what's going on, right? Where erotic hypnosis kind of lets you experience what rises. So you give it up and you're watching a part of yourself that you might be afraid to acknowledge or that you're not even sure how to acknowledge. You're able to just simply allow it rise. And honestly, I think for some people that can be life-changing. And I know that sounds really silly, maybe to some, but and this was a big reason I started this podcast, especially way, way back in the day, is my sexuality kink really was life-changing for me. And, when I say that out loud, I can feel people's eyes rolling. But it's for me personally, and I don't think that's for everyone. Like for me personally, it has been life-changing. I would not be the powerful woman I am today without some exploration that I have done sexually and through kink. It just opened a door of self-confidence and empowerment that truly was life-changing. But back to you guys. I think that erotic hypnosis works also because it meets people exactly where they are. So I think for some listeners, they just want surrender, where some listeners really just want arousal. And then you've got some listeners who want comfort. And then you have some that want to feel owned. And then you can blend all these two. They want A and C, or they want all the above. But, I think the point is that erotic hypnosis can hold all of those things if that's something you need. The arousal, the comfort, the surrender, or even feelings of just being seen and understood. And erotic hypnosis then works as a pathway to pleasure or a pathway to explore identity, or one of my favorites, a pathway to rewrite old emotional patterns through sensation and suggestion. That's just fucking beautiful to me. It truly is. I think that's why I love meditation so well, and I love creating erotic hypnosis, because we are using this powerful organ in our bodies, our brains, in a way that helps us, and talk about feeling like a goddess. I mean, you guys can feel like a goddess too. You tap into that divine feminine energy as well. It's just powerful. Erotic hypnosis speaks to the erotic part of the mind that is often so quieted during daily life. Well, for some of you, I think some of you think about sex all the time, but you know what I mean. I'm talking about that inner core of your sexuality. I love erotic hypnosis too, because it combines science and seduction. That's so hot. I think that erotic hypnosis is also amazing because it can feel like so personal. And I think some of my listeners will understand what that means. It feels like I'm reaching inside of your soul and shining a light on it. And I think that erotic hypnosis is also so wonderful, because I think the mind, for a lot of you, loves to let go. It just loves to let go, especially when it feels safe. And then that feeling in itself becomes something incredibly arousing. Now, one of the things I love most about erotic hypnosis is how many meditation tools naturally enhance it. I think that some people sometimes assume erotic hypnosis is only about arousal or only about, the domination found in femdom files or whatever. But the truth is that the foundation of every trance I create is built from the same skills that I practice during meditation, because meditation really has deepened how to guide someone into their own mind with a sense of clarity and steadiness. And, creating these erotic hypnosis files lets me take that same skill and direct it towards desire. Because, like, for example, I use breath pacing a lot, but like even when I speak, like when I'm doing a induction, I'm going to slow my own breath as I speak because I want you to match it. I've definitely included that in some of my scripts, like breathe to the rhythm of my voice or something like that. Meditation teaches me that rhythm as well. In my trance files, I'm also using body scanning in a lot of my sessions, that guide someone towards relaxation. Before going into the desire and all that fun, sexy stuff, I will often invite listeners to their shoulders, their belly, their legs, that awareness that you're giving your body helps to soften it. And a soft body drops faster. And that body awareness truly comes also into my morning meditations because I'm also doing the same. If you meditate, you know that as well. You're really focusing on different parts of your body, and that becomes like you're mastering your body. It's wonderful. I also use mantras in files, and these are so powerful. I love using mantras. It becomes, part of the suggestions. It becomes me engaging the same part of the brain that responds to meditation mantras, because repetition builds pathways, and pathways then build response, and then response becomes automatic. Another technique that I am using in my erotic hypnosis is visualization. And for me personally, visualization is one of my favorite things to do during meditation. I've noticed that when I'm able to busy my mind with visualizing, I get quieter. Like I'm able to focus inward better because I'm kind of making my brain busy, but in a way that's towards my meditation. I also find the same power when used in erotic hypnosis. So when, for example, in my files, I might guide someone into opening a doorway, or like a warmth in their chest, or a warmth, in this special place. A feeling of sinking into a soft, dark, velvety place like my voice. That is meditation imagery translated into erotic language. Because I think that when you can take a calm visualization and then add desire to it, I think the mind becomes super, super responsive. So truly, my meditation gives me structure. And if you don't meditate, if you've never really tried meditation, I highly suggest at least trying it. They even have guided walking meditations, because I think a lot of people think, oh, just sit there and be quiet. That sounds so boring. Um, you can do meditation and not be still. I've done some guided walking meditations and they're lovely. They really are lovely. But erotic hypnosis is so special because it has that spark and that excitement. And I think for some, even the taboo feeling, of erotic hypnosis. And that brings me to the last kind of segment of all this is giving you some helpful tips that you can learn on this journey of when to choose meditation if you participate and when to choose erotic hypnosis because they both can serve you, but they're going to serve you in very different ways. They're going to call to different parts of your inner world. And when you understand that, you can use each practice with intention instead of like guessing. So let's start with meditation. I think that you should choose meditation when you need grounding, like when your mind is feeling very loud or you're feeling tense, emotions feeling scattered. Meditation will bring everything back into alignment. Meditation truly resets your energy, will give you clarity, definitely calms that nervous system before you move into the rest of your day. If you can do it in the morning, highly suggest. I love it. That's why I do it every morning. That quiet time prepares me for everything else that I do, because most days are very jam packed. There's lots going on. And it gives me this kind of steady inner glow that carries into my work. And I like to think that it carries into my voice. Because when I meditate, I feel myself being centered and I see it as this anchor. Meditation is also a great choice when you want emotional clarity instead of that erotic intensity of erotic hypnosis. So like when you're feeling overwhelmed, overstimulated, anxious, meditation can soften those edges and help you feel like you can breathe again. Now, let's talk about erotic hypnosis. Erotic hypnosis is perfect when you want to explore desire in a deeper, intentional way, especially when you want to be guided, when you want structure, and when you want to surrender without having to think about it. Erotic hypnosis activates very sensual and oftentimes psychological parts of your mind that meditation will not even touch. It's also the right choice when you're craving connection or if you want to be like have that feeling of being led, because I think many people struggle to quiet their thoughts on their own. And I totally get that, trust me. But the moment they follow a voice that they trust and one that's easy to listen to, everything can soften. I think erotic hypnosis is an amazing choice when you want transformation. Like when you want to explore certain fantasies or when you want to be conditioned or like rewired in ways that feel good to your body and your mind, when you want to like shift patterns, I think that erotic hypnosis is absolutely perfect for that. You can explore these transformations from the comfort of your own home. I mean, by simply closing your eyes. It's amazing. Erotic hypnosis can really reshape experiences. If you haven't already, go listen to, I forget the exact title, but How Submission Turns into Healing, because I have absolutely heard that people can heal from old wounds or even trauma from erotic hypnosis files, and that is so damn beautiful. Love it. Now, what I think is very exciting is when both of these practices support each other, because I think that if you meditate regularly, like if you really master the art of meditation, I believe that you will drop faster into erotic trance. And if you enjoy erotic trance, then meditation should become easier because your mind learns how to soften on command. And please let me know. Please reach out to me or comment if you feel like you have mastered both or if you practice both. Do they strengthen each other? To me, the science says that it should, because I experience, like I said, I don't do erotic hypnosis myself as in participate as a listener, but when I truly started meditating every single day, I absolutely feel so confident in the ability to center myself. And I would imagine that if I am a erotic hypnosis consumer, that would just carry into erotic hypnosis trances. Now, as we reach the end of today's episode, I want to leave you with a very simple truth. So I definitely want to say that meditation and erotic hypnosis are not competing practices. They're not even truly total opposites. I think that they are different ways of opening the same door inside of yourself. I think that meditation gives you stillness. Erotic hypnosis gives you sensation. And then meditation brings you home to your center, where erotic hypnosis invites you deeper into your desire. So one quiets the mind where the other awakens the body. But both are going to help you understand who you are beneath all that noise. And I can say that my own journey into meditation has shown me that the more I commit to meditation, the more confident and grounded I become. Because the more that I understand stillness, the better person I am. I'm more in control of the internal craziness that goes on inside. But I truly believe that meditation strengthens the person that I am, and they can strengthen you too. So if you have only ever tried meditation, I hope that after this episode, you can understand why erotic hypnosis can feel so amazing to people. And if you've only ever listened to erotic trance, I hope that you can see why meditation might support you and maybe even strengthen your practice within erotic hypnosis. You don't ever have to pick one. You can use both. You can use one or the other. You can flow between them. My hope is that you become a master of both and you can use them to your betterment. So I want you to carry this with you. One last thing, that I almost want to break into song. You'll see why. Your mind is not a battlefield. It's not like love. It's not like love is a battlefield. Your mind is not a battlefield. Your mind is a landscape. And there are really quiet places inside of it that are really lovely to sit inside. And then there's super electric parts that are just amazing to explore. I think both deserve attention. I think that that would make us truly balanced people where you're able to become a master of both sides. I think that both sides of your mind deserve curiosity and both deserve care. But I want to thank you for spending this time with me today, and especially for letting me share a part of my own practice with you. I hope this episode helps you understand your inner world a little more deeply. And I hope that you were able to learn some things and maybe even a little empowered to explore even more. So until next time, please treat your mind like the sacred space that it is. And that's a wrap for this episode of The Slut Next Door, where we dive deep into the raw, unapologetic truths of human desire. If you loved what you heard today, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a juicy moment. Want to connect with me outside the podcast? Click the link in my bio where you can find lots of juicy content and options. Until next time, I'm Beatrix Vale, your Slut Next Door. And I'll see you in the next episode.